you are kind of finished, because then you won't be able to, unless you really go back to your wisdom somehow. So this is what this verse is talking about. Any question on this? Where the hiding places of calm and Krodh? It's very interesting. I find these verses very, very interesting. I don't know about all of you, but this is my favorite part of chapter 3, because he just, it's amazing that how he has come up, with the examples. Okay, who wants to read? Anilji, you want to read? You haven't read for a while.
The senses, the mind, and the intellect are said to be its seats. Through these, it deludes the embodied by veiling his wisdom. As a true soldier, Arjuna understands that there is an inner enemy called desire, which, like an efficient saboteur, undermines the wealth and security of his inner kingdom. And as a true prince, the royal demand of Arjuna is for immediate information as to the exact hideout of this dangerous bandit. Krishna, as the spiritual teacher, has to indicate to his adventurous student where exactly the den of this devil is, from where he plans to nefarious activities. From where he plans his nefarious activities, indicating the secret fortresses of this inner enemy desire. The Lord says, the senses, the mind, and the intellect are said to be its seats of action.
So this word nefarious, it means extremely wicked, or like a villainous type of situation. I have to sit literally with a dictionary with Swamiji's commentary, because he uses big words in there, But I learned some new words in there too. So as we discussed that the hideout places are 3. Okay.
A true criminal functioning as an efficient leader of a gang operating in a large area will generally have more places than one to function from. 3 main offices from where desire in different forms functions to destroy the peace and health of our inner life have been indicated here very clearly. The sense organs functioning without restraint in the world of sense objects are a very convenient theater for desire to function in. When the external stimuli reach the mind through the sense organs, the mind also becomes a breeding center of sorrows created by desire. Lastly, the intellect, working and playing with the memories of the sense enjoyments it had lived and of the mental attachments it had entertained, becomes yet another safe den for desire to function from.
So I want to bring that whole analogy of the ratha, chariot. That senses are the horses, and the lagam is the mind, and the intellect is the one who's driver. Okay. So now think about it. That if the horses, which are like senses, if they start going hither and thither, following whatever they want, crash हो जाएगा, right? लगाम छोड़ दी उसने, तो भी crash हो जाएगा, okay? और अगर वो जो intellect बैठा है वही गलत रास्ते पे जा रहा है, छुट्टी, right? Then it is like, even though it looks like it's going in the right place, but he's taking you to exactly opposite goal from where you want to go. You want to go New York and you are reaching Florida, something like that, So see how the analogies also fit in this 3 things. Okay. Go ahead, Anilji.
So the only way, if it is residing in intellect, the only way to get it out is through knowledge, isn't it?
Yes, and Krishna Bhagwan is going to tell you the relationship, because it's amazing how scientific he goes. Then he's going to tell you that, जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि कहाँ पर बैठकर कॉन्कर करना चाहिए आदमी को. ओके, अगर एक जगह घुस गया है तो तुम कहाँ बैठो उसको पकड़ने के लिए. ओके, ही इज गोइंग टू टेल यू दैट इफ द एनिमी इज इन योर सेंसेस, sit in your mind to conquer it. If it is in your mind, sit in your intellect to conquer it. If it's in your intellect, go to the Atma. Okay? You be at a higher position, then you will be able to conquer it. So he's going to tell you the methods. But he also says, further, Anil, I'm jumping the number, that's okay because we are learning the whole thing. That senses is the most important for us to start, even if it is sitting deep, but you have to start controlling at the senses level. Like suppose agar meko kisi pe bahut gussa aa raha hai and I want to just lash out at them, control your tongue, don't say it, and then you have to dissolve it. There are methods, but so sense control is supposed to be like one of the most important thing. And I think that it was Sarva Priyananji who was just gave such a beautiful example. He said it was because he is a kind of a Swami who studies the modern psychology and he studies the ancient, and then he brings out both. So beautifully he brings it out. So he was saying this modern psychologist, he said senses are like an elephant. They are very strong. Okay, so अगर वो ऊपर बैठा हुआ है, उसका महावत बोलते हैं ना उसको, अगर वो उसको कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश कर, लेकिन हाथी नहीं चाहता कि मैं कंट्रोल हूं, तो वो कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा. So that's why he's going to tell you, eventually he's going to say that even if enemy is residing very deep, start controlling at the senses level, you'll have a better chance. So it's like almost like approaching both ways, Anilji. You do it this way from senses, and with wisdom you dissolve all the other things which are in your mind and intellect. It's like if you want to conquer the enemy, you surround them by every angle, then you have a better chance. Surrounding the enemy. Eventually it's going to come to that.
Umaji, can I just ask a question? Umaji, when I was reading it, and I thought with the senses, you see objects and you get like it, and then when you use it and use it again and again, that's the mind working.
Yeah, you can put it that way. Yes.
And I mean, I was looking at this differently, and I'm just asking you whether that was wrong or right. And then the more you use it, it becomes sort of a habit, or it becomes your vasana after that. Once it becomes in the intellect at the intellect level, then. So then it's harder to, then you have to work the other way around, maybe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct also, because, that's why these things, you can try to understand it from various angles. So your angle is correct too, because if I have a like and dislike, suppose if I have a liking for something, if I do it more and more, it creates that channel in our brain, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. And then it becomes automatic. Then you don't even think. Like, it's something like I'm addicted to my tea in the morning. Nobody needs to tell me. I automatically go in the kitchen and the day I don't get my tea, I'm miserable. So what you're saying is 100% right. And if I want, like I had a habit when my sister-in-law stayed with me for 6 months, I got into the habit of having a tea in the afternoon. That I had to break, it took me a few days and then I broke it. And if I really want to break this morning habit, I can. But otherwise, you are right. It just becomes like a channel and it gets deeper and deeper and it's harder to. True. So what you're thinking is totally correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But how do you realize that this is wrong and I have to get rid of it?
If it starts interfering with your spiritual progress, right? That's where the wisdom comes in.
Yeah.
So, and we already know we cannot go 100% by our likes and dislikes, can we? अभी कभी किसी पे गुस्सा आता है, मेरे को लगता है एक झापड़ उसको लगाऊं, तो मैं लगा तो नहीं दूंगी. That's just a gross example, okay? And now at all our age, we know that certain food, I may love certain food, but they're going to be horrible for my stomach or like whatever, my sugar or something, then I cannot have it. So that's where my wisdom comes, right, Anil ji, that I know. But अगर मेरे को मालूम ही नहीं है, तामसिक लोगों को मालूम ही नहीं है
Yes.
कि भाई क्या गलत है, क्या वो करे जा रहे हैं और वो रिजल्ट आ रहा है खराब, पूरी दुनिया को ब्लेम कर रहे हैं घर के
उमा जी, आपने कहा कि आपने आफ्टरनून टी को you had to break the habit. Now continuing to Anil's question, what was wrong with the afternoon tea?
Then even if I was somewhere doing some chore, if I don't have that habit, I'm a much happier person. Then I don't have to take out the time to make the chai and do this. है तो भी ठीक है, नहीं है तो भी ठीक है, right? See what I'm saying?
I understand. Okay.
So
okay.
that's why we say that जितना हम likes and dislike को छोड़ देंगे, हमारी life better होती है. The people, who are like, there are certain people, when they travel, they have the smallest bag. And हमारी बैग को देखो, पूरा घर लेके जाने को चाहिए हम लोग को. I had to learn myself not to do that. Slowly and when you travel light, it's very easy. Otherwise,
That's true.
yeah. So that's what it is.
Let
Just
me
one.
comment comparison between karma and vasana. In
Okay.
other words, desire.
Where are you, Joe? I cannot see
I'm
you.
here.
Oh, there you are. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, in a way, desire is as necessary as karma is to exist. So then the karma becomes detached, and then you dedicate to God to that karma, so then you're not doing for yourself. Same way, the desire, you can enjoy yourself, but then don't get attached with it. So then you are not addicted to it. That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, I think that's a very good point because नहीं तो कोई बोलेगा कि अभी शरीर में आए हैं तो हमको चाहिए. I mean, हम लोग को भूख भी लगती है, ये भी एक पहनने के लिए कपड़े भी चाहिए. We are as householder, we have certain things we need to do. All that is totally fine. What Joe said is very significant. उसके बिना मैं रह नहीं पाऊँ. That should not be there for
And the
spiritual
way you
progress.
test is that when it is taken away from you, then you get angry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point. Yeah.
So you can enjoy everything so long as you don't get angry when it is taken away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent point. Yes. And that's exactly what he's saying. That if you start getting angry, be sure that your desire is working. Nobody's making you angry. Even if it is like an emotional thing, because we want people to behave in a certain way. That's also a desire. Or I want some circumstances to be like this. It doesn't have to be material things at all. It can be emotional and circumstances also. That also comes under the desire only.
Sure.
And giving you, using your example of afternoon tea, then suddenly you start justifying it. Oh my God, if I don't get the tea, I'll get a headache.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So should I read now?
Yes, please. Unless somebody wants to say something more. Go ahead, Anilji.
So no afternoon tea for Anil today.
No. If you have, like he said, what Joe said is very important. That if you have time and you want to enjoy a tea, sometimes I do. It's not like I don't. I take it. But, I don't want to be addicted to that caffeine. That's the only problem. Yeah.
Understand.
Yeah.
I think the other thing it says is that habits which impede your spiritual uplifting, that need to be stopped. Whether you take tea or you take coffee, it's not actually doing anything with your spiritual uplift. So those are good examples, but what they're talking about more is in terms of the acts which are things which you do which are against your spiritual uplift. Those should be stopped.
But here, I have one comment though. Sushilji, this is what happens. Certain habits, like they seem very, very innocent. But when we start spending too much time on them or things like that, that automatically becomes an impediment for spiritual progress. Because if you have too many attachments like this, then we won't have time for spiritual things. अरे मेरे को तो अभी चाय पीनी है, मुझे तो अभी ये खाना बनाना है, मुझे तो अभी ये करना है. खाना बनाना मीन्स फैंसी चीज़ें बनाना शुरू कर दो 10-15. So sometimes even the worldly things, they look very innocent for a householder. But it'll take away your precious time for doing other stuff. And
But
then,
imagine simple pleasures of life, a cup of tea in the afternoon. How is
yeah.
it going
I mean,
to be
don't take that
awesome?
example very seriously. I was just saying it for my own self, and for somebody, it may not be a problem at all. I felt that it was becoming a problem for me.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why,
okay,
So
yeah.
when it comes to these examples, you got to examine it in your own head.
Sure.
And like our teacher used to say, if you have a desire to wear some new sari, by all means go get it. There's nothing wrong with it because you have the ability, you have the time and all. But मेरे को वही साड़ी चाहिए वैसा है और नहीं मिलेगी तो मैं दुखी हो जाऊंगी. And then I'm calling 20 different friends to get it. Then it's a problem.
Sure.
Simple desire, you want to do it, no problem.
And I think that the test is, if you don't get it, do you get upset or angry?
Yeah, there you go. Very good. Yes, that's
If it doesn't
exactly.
bother you, don't.
Yes.
then it's-
Very good.
The deluded ego foolishly identifying with the body, desires, sense enjoyments. Thoughtlessly identifying with the mind, it thirsts to experience more and more emotional satisfactions. Lastly, identifying with the intellect, it plans to relive the remembered experiences of sense enjoyments and mental joys.
So this is what Meenaji you were saying. Yeah, this is what Swamiji explained. So you can look at it that way too. Yeah.
To hunt for desire in these three hideouts is to come at last face to face with it. How finally to overcome this inner enemy is described in the following stanzas.
So first thing is recognizing that as an enemy. As simple as that. We know because a deluded person will not even know that is what their enemy is. Once you know it, then you have come face to face. Then in the next verse 41, he's going to tell you what is the technique to get. Because खाली ये बता दिया कि enemy है और तुम उसको कैसे conquer करो ये नहीं बताया तो फिर problem हो जाएगा. Enemy will overpower you. So it's very important to know the technique, and which is going to come in the next one that we will do next week.
This is so good because first thing is to know your enemy.
Yes.
Second is you know where he's hiding.
Yes.
And third that you have to kill it.
Yes. And how deep it can go.
How
उसके
deep-
hiding places पता होने चाहिए. Right? It's like a warfare. हर हर महादेव. Yeah. Okay. And any other point? No?
Constantly, looking at your desires and your, operating from your wisdom. Then if any new desire comes also, you can, kill it. So that's what we have to be always working through the wisdom.
So
And
true.
be more intuitive.
Yeah. So wisdom को तुम cover नहीं होने दो. Remember उन्होंने बोला कि 3 चीज से wisdom cover हो जाता है. तो तुम अगर wisdom को alive रखोगे, so true. अगर wisdom सामने रहा तो at least जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि it will bother us and then we will do something about it. मगर हमने justify करना शुरू कर दिया तो it's not going to even bother us, then we will get swayed in it. So that's where the role of wisdom comes कि अगर जैसे कि मिरर का एग्जांपल दिया उसको स्क्रब करते जाओ थोड़ा तो दिखेगा नीचे and then we say okay I gotta do more now because I want more brilliance. It is just unbelievably scientific, this whole thing that he explained it. True. Okay, shall we go to Nachiketa, Kathopanishad? I'll just do
Just
the
one example that, like you, I think you mentioned that was like even desire to find God is a desire.
True. And the highest perspective, true. Yes.
Yeah. And also I know that I read those excerpts by Mother Teresa. It came in Time magazine, you can look it up. And she was very unhappy because her desire was to see God. And so that's what she wrote in her excerpts, that she never got a chance to see God.
I think I like that Osho's statement, who says you can never see God, you can be God. So if you try to
But
see...
anyway, her desire when you are in Bhakti Yoga, you see God. But when
True.
you are in Karma Yoga, you serve, seva. So she was in a different path. So maybe in next life she will see God.
I think that जी क्रिश्चियनिटी को में काफ़ी उन्होंने चेंजेस किए हैं ना, मतलब वी नो दैट वो कॉन्स्टेंटीन के टाइम पे दे टुक आउट द रीइंकार्नेशन थियरी एंड ऑल व्हिच वाज देयर इन क्रिश्चियनिटी. दैट्स हाउ आई अंडरस्टूड दैट दे हैव डन सो मेनी इंटरफियरेंस इन इट. सो उनमें वो थोड़ा सा गैप्स हैं.
Right.
That's the problem. Whereas our Vedanta is, they have kept it alive as the original. And that's another thing I wanted to bring a point. That's why, like Swami Chinmayanand ji, he brings the verses directly to you. So otherwise, kya hota hai ki when people start putting their own 2 cents words, sometimes it can get totally diluted. I mean, you can get contaminated, jisko bolte hai na. And then so many bad practices come, people make misuse of it, and you just can't go on the spiritual path properly. So that was one of his thing. And in our history in India, they had made this, khali pandit hi kar sakte hai bas, puja path or something, and common man ko दूर ही रखा था उससे. And his whole thing was that he wanted to bring direct knowledge of the Vedas and Upanishad to ghar mein, including children at their level, And so that's why when I say that, I'm not saying anything of my own. I'm bringing you the Bhagavad Gita directly as I learned it, and commentary of very noted people, Shankaracharya ji and all that, who have been, otherwise you can, kuch bhi uska bana lo. It will not be proper then. So if we should not say, hey, this is how I feel like doing. No, we have to go back and look at the words. What is Krishna Bhagavan saying? Why is he saying it? So bring the Shastra Praman, that is the best, and that gives us, something to hold on to. That this is, like if somebody is going to the engineering school, they will have to have faith in their professors. Hey, they know better. Even if I don't understand right now, I will by the time I finish it, That's how we have to look at it, Any other thing? So I'm going to just do let me do this recording, the second one, because it was this Om Sahana Vavtu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, so we are at verse 9 right now. Is that right?
We are at verse 8.
8 हमने actually पूरा कर लिया था. So let's just review 8 what it is. So we remember Nachiketa reached the doors of Yamraj, and then he didn't. His wife and ministers offered him food, and he didn't take it because he said, "My father has sent me to use Yamraj. So until I need to speak to Yamraj, then I'm going to take anything." Right? He didn't take anything, and then how we discussed that how Nachiketa has so many great qualities ready for the Brahma Vidya. This is one of them: fortitude, titiksha, forbearance. And then we saw that how the minister or the wife said ki agar Brahman meaning a learned person or a tejasvi, like a fire, he has entered your house, a tithi आया है और अगर अति तेजस्वी हो तो और भी ज़्यादा उसका सम्मान का होना चाहिए, और उसका नहीं करो तो सम्मान तो तुम्हारा क्या क्या लूट जाएगा, वो हमने देखा था लास्ट टाइम. तुम्हारे fruits of the company with good men means satsang तुम्हारा छूट जाएगा, merits of sweet and friendly discourses, sweet words that you exchange with people, beneficial results of sacred sacrifices जो यज्ञ यागा करते हो to get higher lokas, charitable deeds, pious gifts, even your progeny, sons and cattle will get destroyed. And the whole idea they were trying to tell over here is that if you uska, if you are not doing samman of your atithi who is so revered, that means you are a manda buddhi anyway, right? And if you are manda buddhi, it is Bhagavad Gita is coming into here, or vice versa, Basically, if you don't have the wisdom, you will be doing wrong things, and that will lead to your destruction because you're not listening to the higher values in life. That's where the whole context was. So, Premji, all of a sudden we cannot see you. But so this is what we finished last time actually. So now we go to the next one. So that's therefore we are on verse 9 over here. So here is a verse 9. Tistro Ratri yat avatsi gruhe me anashnana brahman atithi namasya namaste astu brahman swasti me astu tasmat prati trin varan vurnishva. It sounds really big, but it's not that difficult once we understand. Tisra is 3. So because he was there 3 nights, so wahan se aaya Tisra. Ratri, everybody knows night. Yata is as. Avatsi, thou have dwelt, means you have stayed in my house for 3 nights. Gruhe is house, we know graha bolte hain. Me, mine. Anashnan, now the same word from Bhagavad Gita is coming, to eat, without taking food. Ashnan means, to eat. Anashnan is no eating. Fasting. Brahman is Brahman. Brahman means some learned person over here. Atithi is guest. And we talked about atithi without date, the guy who comes without telling anyone. Namasyaha is venerable, means usko main namaskar karta hu. Nama is prostration, doing pranams. Te unto thee, astu be. Brahman is O Brahmana. Swasti is good. But then a swasti na indro with the shavaha, we used to do that. Swasti means goodness. Me is to me. Astu is befall. I'll tell you the meaning in a minute. Tasmat, therefore. Prati is in return. Trin, 3. Varan, bolte na var dena. Boons. Vrishnivaha, you choose. So basically, ab kya ho raha hai? He's Dharam, Yamraj is Dharamraj also. Remember I told you the other name of Yamraj is Dharmaraj. He is a beholder of Dharma. That means he already knows everything. Still, the gharwala are telling him because they are so scared that कुछ बुरा नहीं हो जाए, इसको बेचारा 3 दिन से खाया पिया नहीं है, खड़ा है वहाँ पे, तो इसलिए उन्होंने सारी बातें उसको बोली. And Yamraj is obviously feeling bad. So the moment Yamraj found out that there is a little boy, Tejasvi boy, come to my door, so Yamraj is saying, Namaste Astu, please come in, bless me. Yamraj is telling that little boy, look at the humility. Because Yamraj to tha bhi nahi wahan pe, right? Nobody would have blamed Yamraj if he didn't say all these things. But they are showing that the person who is holding up dharma is also following it fully. And Swamiji in his commentary is going to say that in today's world, जो लोग को अपहोल्ड करना चाहिए ना धर्म, वही वो लोग तोड़ देते हैं. तो फिर दूसरा क्या करेगा? जैसे बोलते हैं ना, यथा राजा तथा प्रजा. अगर राजा ही सब कुछ गड़बड़ कर रहा है तो प्रजा भी करेगी उल्टा सीधा. So that's where this is coming, that how Dharmaraj is upholding and how he's addressing him with so much reverence, and he's doing pranam to him, and he's telling him, bless me, and the good things are going to come to me now. He's just assuming that, guys, Tejasvi, if I bow down, good things are going to come to me. Okay, that's what he's saying. And then he's telling him that because of 3, I'm not satisfied with just doing pranam to you. Because you were waiting in my house for 3 nights, please ask me for 3 boons. Okay, that's what Yamraj offers Nachiketa or that I will grant you 3 boons for each night that you stayed without food and all that. Okay, so that's what this verse is going to tell us. Any question on this? Is pretty simple verse actually, but it very significant too, because one of the significances, Dharmaraj himself is very, has humility, and he himself is upholding dharma, and he feels like if he has done something has happened in his house, for not even for his fault. It was not Dharmaraj's fault, but something happened. I have to make amends. That's why he's giving him 3 boons, because he's trying to make amends for something so that everything stays smooth in his house. That's where the whole thing is. Okay. Who wants to read the translation? Any question on this? Comment, question? Okay. सुशील जी आप पढ़ेंगे?
Yama said, O Brahmana, thou, a venerable guest, has dwelt in my house 3 nights without eating. Therefore, choose now 3 boons in return, O Brahmana, my prostrations unto thee. May good befall me. The spirit of stanza is true spirit in which the Aryans accepted and followed their immortal Sanatan Dharma. As a matter of fact, it is surprising that such a godly power as Lord Death himself should bow down in modesty in front of his guest, a boy merely 9 years old, and beg of him to pardon the host's indiscretions. There are days when the governors themselves outrageously step over their own laws. No one would have found fault with the Lord Death for having ignored a guest when he was himself not at home. And yet, herein we see Lord Death apologizing for his unintentional misconduct and begging the Brahmana boy guest to accept. In return, an atonement in the form of 3 boons, if only men in power and might, men in position and status, were to be so straight in following the laws of dharma, others, the lesser ones, would not have dared to disobey them at all.
So see, as I told you, that it's such an important thing. They told you that the person who's in charge, they have to follow it first. They have to set up a good example. Then others are not going to. Otherwise, others are going to break the law.
Here, there's also an undercurrent of compliment paid by Lord Death to Brahman boy. May good befall me is a request which has been already sanctioned by the guest even before the householder has asked for it. Since a highly cultured man of intellect and heart, a true Brahmana is always won over by humble prostrations and due reverence shown. He is not the one to nourish a grudge for even an insult expressly shown.
So he's just showing that how, because Nachiketa is considered a bright boy, he's not going to hold any grudges, and he will, have good feelings toward Yamraj, even though, he had to stay 3 nights, waiting for him. So that he's just showing the higher character of Nachiketa in this. So now the question is, there's one more paragraph, you can read that.
I think my book is just...
So here in my book it says from 1 to 9, to keep his father's word, Nachiketa goes, I think they're just telling you the story again, but it's just 2 lines, I'll just say it. To keep his father's words, Nachiketa goes to the palace of the Lord of Death, where for 3 nights he remains unfed. To atone for his inhospitality, Lord Death, Yama, offers the boy 3 boons. So just summarizing you. So now the most interesting thing is going to come. How this 9-year-old boy encashes his boons. Something to learn from that. It's very scientific. It's very deep. And it shows his maturity and his concern for the entire world, not just himself. And he doesn't ignore himself either. He doesn't ignore his father. He doesn't ignore his family. So, like, when you say, oh, if I have to become spiritual, do I have to just leave my family and just go do some social service? That's not what it is. Charity begins at home, right? Very powerful thing. And you see that because he knows he has 3 boons, he has some room to ask for something. So पहला boon क्या मांगता है, दूसरा क्या मांगता है, तीसरा देखते हैं. Let me do the Sanskrit part. शांत संकल्पः सुमना यथा स्यात्. वीतमन्यु गौतमा मा अभिमृत्यो तत्वं प्रसुष्टम मा अभिवदेत प्रतीत एतत् यत्राणाम प्रथम वरम वृणे. शांत संकल्पः, be pacified. He's talking about now his father. You will see. Sumana is, Suman matlab, soft heart kind of, be kind. Yatha yasya, let him, or maybe. Vitamanyu means free from anger. Should not have any anger towards me. Gautama is the same like his father's name. क्या नाम था उसका, Vajrashava, remember? Vajrashava, Gautama. किसी ने बोला औदालक भी है उसका नाम. They have couple of different names. So Gautama means his father, not Gautam Buddha over here, okay? Ma is me, Abhi is towards, Mrityo, or death. Twat is by you, Prasushtam means sent away. Me. Ma is me. Abhivadet is may greet. Abhivadan bolte na, hindi mein abhivadan karna. Pratit is recognize me. Etat, this. Trayanam, of the 3 boons. Prathamam, the first one. Varam, boon. Vrane is I choose. So what he does is he's saying, okay, he accepts that, his offer. He's saying, I'm going to choose my first boon. So what he asks, he's concerned about his dad. He knows कि डैड बेचारा बैठ के वहाँ पे सोच रहा होगा, कहाँ गया मेरा बेटा, क्या होगा उसका, वो मिला कि नहीं यमराज से, और वहाँ क्या हो रहा होगा, वापस आएगा या नहीं. 100 questions, and he's saying he's going to have a sleepless night and he'll be so worried. And all of us are parents over here, so we know how much we worry about the children. Here is a 9-year-old boy, sensitivity toward his father, that he's going to be very upset. पहला boon वो उसमें मांगता है, अभी वही बड़े smart ढंग से मांगता है वो. He's saying, I want my father to have calm mind. Please take away all his worries, And worry is not just in sleep. I went to sleep, that's a worry in the daytime also. Take away his worry, he's telling him. मेरे father की worry. And then he's saying, जब मैं वापस लौटूं, तब मेरा father को मेरे father के हृदय में मेरे लिए कोई anger ना हो. Because he knows he annoyed his father. Because, Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, 3 बार वो same ही चीज बोल रहा था, तो father annoyed. We also get annoyed. If a small child keep bothering us and we are doing something so important, shut up now. He knows that he annoyed his father. So he's aware of that. Even though his intention was good, he did annoy his father, saying, my father should have no anger towards me. But look at the smart thing he said. When you send me back. What does that tell? उसने अपना return ticket assure कर लिया. मैं तो उधर यमराज के पास गया है, वापस नहीं आए, तो क्या होगा? I mean, how smart he is, Father को भी appease कर दिया, return ticket भी ले लिया. And then another very important thing he says, जब मैं वापस लौटूं, तो मेरा father मुझे वैसे ही प्रेम से मिले. Before all that झंझट happened, before he annoyed his dad, he loved Nachiketa, okay? Very much. In fact, one of the theories with Nachiketa की वजह से वो बूढ़ी गाय दे रहा था, because he wanted to save the good one for his son. पुत्र मोह तो उसको था. That is one of the theories. So he's saying that जब मैं वापस जाऊँ, and Tejo Menon ji, maybe Meena ji and Sushil ji heard it. He said कि अगर यमराज के पास से जाके आए तो क्या पता भूत वापस आ रहा है. People might get scared. So he's saying, no, he should receive me lovingly just like I was before. So that is his first boon. And you will see that 3 boons में से पहला वाला वो अपनी फैमिली के लिए बोल रहा है, because it's very important to keep the harmony in the family, care, have the love, concern, and that's after that you can become spiritual. If you are mean and nasty to your own family, you're not on a spiritual path. That's the point they're trying to tell you. The charity begins at home, and the next one he's going to ask for is all the people. Then he's going to ask for the Brahma Gyan, So he's तीन में उसने सब cover कर लिया. How smart he is, I thought it was just amazing. Anybody any question on the first one and this one? No? Okay. Meena ji, you want to read?
Uh,
10.
Nachiketa said, O Lord of Death, as the first of the three boons, I choose that Gautama, my father, be pacified, be kind, and free from anger towards me, and that he may recognize me and greet me when I am sent away by thee. So,
Yeah.
though Lord Death has given the boy only three boons, he encashes the very first one in favor of his father. This action indeed clearly throws a lot of glorious light on the character and temperament of the boy. Though he is now in the higher realms of death, he is, first and foremost, a dutiful son, and so the very first boon is utilized in bringing peace and joy into the heart of his father. Nachiketa wants his father to enjoy comfortable nights without regret of having sent his son to the abode of death, weighing heavy upon his conscience.
So we discuss all that, That Haya asked for his father to be pacified and
A loving consideration for the feelings of one's own parents and guardians is the beginning of an individual's expansion, which ends only when his mind can give an equal place for even the inanimate objects of the world.
So here Swamiji is saying that that's where you learn, to expand your mind, and then a final expansion has to be that even inanimate objects you have to, look at it as a more lovingly. And that's why I think our teacher used to say in Houston that don't even kick the door, because usme bhi Bhagwan hai, and that's why when you kick the door, it kicks back at you. You only get hurt, Okay.
A man of perfection is he who, in a state of experienced godhood, has expanded to become the all and has come to feel for not only his own relations or countrymen, but equally for all. That is, such a perfect master alone is a true citizen of the world, with a perfect universal love. To achieve this acme of perfection, a sadhaka must begin with the consideration and love, selfless and all-giving, first towards his parents and relations.
So the same idea, he's expanding it more in this paragraph.
These are days of cruel misunderstandings when, in the name of religion, people sedulously practice many of vulgarity.
So that word, it means diligently or persistently. मतलब करते जाएंगे ऐसे गलत काम.
Of them, none is so detrimental and sad as the misplaced enthusiasm with which youngsters, when they have made a mess of their life by unintelligently living a span of licentiousness and sensuous freedom, suddenly decide to run away from it into the open portals of sannyasa. Such runaways and moral desperados cannot succeed in the highest vocation called sannyasa. These are ever misfit, not only in society for material life, but equally so in the jungle for spiritual seeking and steady self-perfecting. In the character of Nachiketa, we have a clear warning against these misconceptions of ours.
So basically, he, like I said, Swamiji is saying that you cannot run away from your duties. So even though he has gone there for a very, very high purpose, he did not forget his duty as a son towards his father, and he wants his father to be happy. And if he has done something, something to cause that pain, he's trying to, take away that for him and make him happy. So this is where it is. It's simple but very profound, and it's like for us, it's telling you the qualification needed for the Brahmagyan, concern for others, love, very, very intelligent, even if somebody's giving something, like koi bol raha tha, you go to a king and you just ask for 5 rupees. He's capable of giving you, a whole kingdom. Suppose if there is a Chakravarti Raja who has many kingdoms, he can give you a whole kingdom. So even koi मांगने का भी तरीका होना चाहिए. That's what he's telling you. Be smart even in asking. And I think that reminds me of what I heard about, this Vipassana Goenka ji. Everybody's heard of that, right? Because in our family, a couple of people go there, my Bhabhi, Savita Bhabhi goes to Vipassana, and I have another, he goes there. So he said that वो अपनी ना कहानी बता रहे थे कि he was a businessman in Burma, I think, Goenka ji. And he said he started getting headaches because his business was, how businessmen sometimes, they have so many tensions and all that. So, and nothing was helping him.